I'm Chris Lintott. I'm an astronomer at the University of Oxford, and I'm here to talk about galaxies and the Milky Way as part of the David Elder lecture series. I think this is a really exciting time for astronomers. We know that there are 100 billion galaxies in the observable universe. We know that our Milky Way is only one of those 100 billion, but for the first time, we've got good images and good data of enough of them to ask a question that's been around since the beginning of time, really, is, are we in a special place in the universe? And what I'm talking about here in Glasgow is whether there's anything unusual about our Milky Way, whether it's just a boring galaxy and we have to get used to living in a standard place in the universe, or whether there are special things about it apart from the existence of ourselves. I think the Milky Way is special. We catch it in a special time. People don't realize, I think, that our universe is past its best. There are more stars dying than are being born. The galaxies, most of them have gone through the major life changes, whereas the Milky Way is still a dynamic place. There are still stars being born. The black hole at the Milky Way is still turning on and off. So it's still an interesting place to be. It's a great place to be an astronomer. And for that reason, I think it's pretty special. So citizen science is an old idea. It's the idea that anyone can make a contribution to science. And in astronomy, this isn't news. We have had amateur astronomers monitoring storms on Jupiter, keeping an eye out for supernovae for as long as there have been telescopes. But what's happened recently is that because digital technology allows us to collect lots more information about the universe, we've needed more help than ever. And so by putting that information online, on sites like the project I ran, Galaxy Zoo, or the Zooniverse is our collection of projects, we've been able to ask millions of people to help us sort through data. And so that's important because we learn more about the universe. We discover things through the involvement of ordinary people. We've even had people discover planets around other stars. But it's also important because it does away with this idea that science is something that's done by rich people or clever people or people in an ivory tower of a university. What's really important, and what places like this place do, is tell you that science is for everyone, and you really could make a discovery by giving us a few moments of your time on a web browser. I'm an astronomer because my school happened to have an observatory. We were given the keys and allowed to go and play with this telescope, and the idea was that we might find something. Of course, we never did. It was far too difficult, but the idea that we might find something is what inspired me as a school kid. And so I think through citizen science, through sharing data from observatories and from telescopes on the web and allowing everyone to join in this great adventure of trying to understand the universe, I think that's really inspiring. And I think it's something that's been missing from school experiences of science, where you learn from a textbook or you learn the same things that your parents learned 30 years ago. I think by connecting what you learn in the classroom to sort of modern day physics and the excitement of discovery, we can transform people's attitudes to science. I think if we're talking about galaxies, I think the next thing that's going to happen is a telescope called the LSST. It's the Large Synoptic Survey Telescope, which is a terrible name. What you need to think of it doing is making a movie of the sky. It's as big as the biggest telescopes in the world today, but it's going to go back to the same parts of the sky every 3 nights. And so suddenly, instead of seeing a static view of the universe, we get one that changes, and we'll see, for example, nearby galaxies flickering as material falls down onto their black holes. So that dynamic view of the universe is going to be hugely exciting, and we've only got a couple more years to wait before we start being able to look at that, and we hope share that data with everyone.